You'll never take our freedom!
Hello, everybody. My name is David Dean, and today I wanted to talk about journalism. It's one of those careers that, frankly, I don't even think you need a college degree for. If you learn how to write in high school, maybe take an ethics class, and are willing to learn how to educate people, inform and educate, that's basically journalism, and to learn how to answer the questions, or ask the questions, who, what, when, where, why, and how. If you can ask those questions, you pretty much have a decent story. You might not get all the questions answered, but if you get a majority of them answered, you'll have a good story. Now, how many times have you sat around and watched a newscast or watched a reporter interview somebody, and you said to yourself, well, why didn't you ask this? You know, you want to hear it and you didn't go there. Right? You're wanting more all the time. Not even just national media, even the local media does it. I mean, just after this DACA incident with the Democrats closing down the government, right afterwards, some reporter asked Nancy Pelosi, was it worth shutting the government down over DACA? I go, oh, we didn't do that. We had other issues that we were concerned about. And what would be your next question with that response? What are your other issues? What are your other problems? And then how would you fix them? What would you want? I mean, there's so many questions that could have been asked, and she didn't ask anything. That's not journalism. When I sit there and I watch TV and I have another question I want to ask or have answered, that's not journalism. When you are caught with a bald-faced lie and you don't ask a question after the fact. Now, here's James Clapper talking to Chuck Todd about an FBI FISA warrant. Now listen to what he says.
I can't speak for other Title III authorized entities in the government or a state or local entity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
You would be told this?
I would know that.
If there was a FISA court order
yes.
on something like this?
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
So, there was no FISA warrant for the Trump campaign, or anybody in the Trump campaign. There was no FISA warrant. Now we know there is. So why would you bring this guy back on your TV show without playing this clip and asking what the hell he was talking about? Why did you lie to me? Why did you tell me there was no warrant when there is a warrant? And why would you even consider this guy as a reputable source anymore? I mean, if he comes on television and lies to your face, how can you even bring him back and use him as a source? And how could people that sit there and listen to him say that? You have to remember that. I remembered it. Why can't you think about it and say, why would I even listen to this guy? He's a liar. But, there was no questions asked about this. He basically went, well, after the memo was released, it was more like, it's a hard thing to get a FISA warrant. Well, yeah, but we didn't get one, supposedly. Now he's talking about how hard it is to get it. So, to me, when you have a corrupt person that lies to you, why would you take anything else they have to say with a grain of salt? So, to me, journalism's dead. Even locally. Christ, when we had Irma here in Tampa, the Tampa viewing market was just ridiculous. The media was more about hype and about raising up your extreme paranoia, panic. That was their whole gig. Nothing was about how we can help and educate you. It was about how can we make you more on edge. I mean, the tension in the city was on you could cut it with a knife. And, I got to give Governor Scott kudos. He's seen Irma dancing around the Atlantic with a Cat 5 hurricane, and 9 days before it even came to Florida, he said, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and order a state of emergency for the entire state of Florida. This thing's that big. We don't know where the eye is going to hit, but it's that big it's going to affect the whole state. We're going to open up all the roadways, all the toll roads. We're going to take weight restrictions off of trucks so they can bring more product down here. We're going to keep the ports open as long as possible so we keep the fuel running, try to keep the gas stations with fuel. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he did what he was supposed to do. But what happened with the media right off the bat? What did they do right after he said this stuff? And basically he's telling people, hey, look, if you're in a low-lying area, and frankly, Florida is a low-lying area. If you're in a low-lying area, take the time to batten down the hatches and get out. So he gave you 9 days to do that. So what's the media do? Governor Scott issues a state of emergency for the entire state of Florida and tells people to... I thought, oh my God, this is what we're going to put up with now for the next 9 days. So on the preparation part of the extravaganza of local media, instead of, again, educating us, it was more about how can we make you more anxious. Let's make you more anxious. If you're more anxious, you're going to listen to us. You'll listen to us if you're more anxious. So, this is a preparation. Now, this is just what I heard. This is not what they said verbatim, but this is kind of what I heard in the most simplest way. We have a scene where we have a reporter over at the Parks Department, and we got this huge pile of sand there, and people are making sandbags. So let's go to Skippy and see what's going on over there. I'm standing here in front of a pile of sand with this gentleman here. And that's another thing. Don't talk like that. For Christ's sakes, you're a guest in my house. Talk like a normal human being. I got a 4K TV. I can see the cold sore on your lip. You try to cover up with a little makeup. So now he's interviewing this guy, and he says, so what are you doing here? Well, I'm putting sand in a bag. Oh, you're putting sand in a bag. How many bags do you plan on putting sand into? Well, probably 12. 12? Oh, my God. You're going to put 12 bags of sand? Oh, my God. The sand's going to be gone before you guys even get here. Look at this line. Let's talk to the next guy in line. Hey, what are you doing? Well, I'm here to put sand in a bag. You're here to put sand in a bag? How many bags of sand are you going to do? Well, I'm probably going to do like 24. 24? Oh, my God, this sand's going to be gone. It's going to be gone, even though they're going to bring more over. It's going to be gone by the time you get here. How long have you been waiting in line? No, probably about an hour. Hour? You've been waiting in line for an hour? Well, that's before the line got bigger. It's probably 2 hours. Now, 2 hours? You kidding me? 2 hours? You got to wait in line for 2 hours? This is the kind of bullshit we had to put up with the entire time. They take you over to the Home Depot, and there's a guy in Home Depot, and he's standing in front of where the lumber used to be. We're standing where the lumber used to be, where the plywood used to be. They could have had, even with the let's go back to the sandbags for a second. Why didn't they have like a little segment on how to actually use a sandbag? I mean, do you, if you have a little slope into your house, do you put it on the slope so it keeps it away from the house? Do you put bags along the house as well? How do you stack them? How high do you need to stack them? How about a little segment on educating people? You realize 1,000 people a day move to Florida. That's 365,000 people a year. Excuse me. Carrot cake. Anyway, so the last storm we had was Charlie, and that was back in, 2013? 2012, something like that. So in that time frame, we've had like maybe 4.75 million people move to the state. If only 1% move to the Tampa area, there's 47,000 people that haven't got a freaking clue what to do during a hurricane. They've probably never stacked sandbags before. They probably never boarded up their windows before. So that would have been a nice segment, too. Instead of standing there telling people how we don't have any plywood, but we'll have more in Thursday. Well, how about doing a little segment on, how do you board up your house? Now, if you've got a wooden house, it's pretty easy to figure out. But say you've got a stucco home or maybe a block house, how are you going to attach that plywood to it without really messing up your house too much? A little education that way, I would have appreciated it anyway. I'm sure a lot of people would have. And they did the same thing with generators. Generators, people die every year. because they took the generator in the house or too close to the house, and the exhaust comes into the house and it kills them. So, it would have been nice to know, basically, how big a generator do I need? Do I want to run my refrigerator? Do I want to run a microwave? Maybe a little window unit for air conditioning to keep me cool. So how big a unit am I going to need? And how do I figure that out? How do I figure out how many watts are in an appliance? How do I add this up? And do I worry about the surge when these appliances kick in? They're on for a while and they go, whoa, they kick in a little more. So how do I figure all that crap out to make sure that this works well for me? Because frankly, during a hurricane, you got to keep in your mind, I might be without power for 2 weeks. So you want to make sure you got enough gas and you got a generator for that. If you have a generator, So, these are things that, they could have educated people by. Instead of just saying, hey, make sure you don't have a generator in your house. It could kill you. That's basically what they told us. It's like, are you kidding me? You got all this dead air time to waste because, you're waiting for a hurricane to come. That's, 2 or 3 days away, and they're standing out there looking at the wind. Look at this wind. This wind is blowing this way. Look at that. I've never seen the wind blow horizontal. You kidding me? 3 o'clock every afternoon you see the wind blowing horizontal. I mean, where the hell are you at? So, it's just the whole thing was screwed up. I mean, the gas station. Yeah, we're out of gas over here. Well, that's great. How about now telling us where we can find gas? You can go on to gasbuddy.com and it'll tell you where gas is. Oh, really? So I call gas, get on Gas Buddy and get all signed up and find a few gas stations in my area and give them a call that supposedly had gas. They didn't have gas. So that didn't work real well. And not one of them tried to do that, to tell you that, well, that Gas Buddy doesn't work all that well. I guess it only works if people call and tell them they don't have gas. And frankly, why the hell would you want to do that? You've got a little store inside there. You might not have any gas, but you've got food in there you want to try to get rid of. Now's a good time to get rid of it because people can't find food in the store. And there's the other reporter over there, Skippy, standing there in front of an empty shelves. I'm standing here in front of empty shelves where food used to be. It's like, really? Really, you asshole? And then he's talking about, and if you can't find food, get non-perishable items. Okay, so I get a can of ravioli. What am I going to just eat it raw? How do I cook it? Do I put it on the grill? What if I don't have gas? I don't have charcoal. What's the best way of going ahead and cooking this stuff? Again, another segment. Might be roughing it for 2 weeks. So how about if you're out without power, how about doing that? Oh, back to the gas station for a second. In Florida, they passed a law that says every new gas station that's being built should have its own power unit, its own power supply in case the power goes out. Did any of them reporters mention that? No. Why not? It would have been nice to know for people that's, scrambling to get gas that these gas stations here, and here were built past, I think it was 2012, so you can get gas from these gas stations. Yeah, so don't panic too much, It was all about how much can we make you panic, and there was no help on the back end saying, well, this is how you can survive, basically. Buy all the canned goods you can so you can survive on canned goods, but we're not going to tell you how to eat them. Just open the can and chug it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. It's less dishes you got to do. Don't worry about it because you don't have the water anyway, but don't worry about it. We ain't going to tell you how to get water either. So, don't worry about any of that crap, All this stuff could have been educated. You could have filled all this ed time educating people. And I almost guarantee you that station that did that would have had more viewers than the other two combined. It was just totally ridiculous. I have a generator, so I had food. I had frozen food because I have a freezer that refilled with frozen food. So, you don't need to just live off perishables. If you've got a generator, you can use, microwave meals and throw them in there, and there you go. You got yourself a decent meal. And I was surprised. I haven't had a microwave meal, and I can't tell you how long. And they're not too bad, actually. A little salty, but not too bad. If you're hungry, they'll work for you. What else did they kind of scare the crap out of us? Oh, the weather. Or not the weather, the traffic. Well, let's wait. Let's actually wait until it's, 8 o'clock at night when it's dark out. And let's go to I-75. And let's talk to Captain Copter and see what's going there. I'm up here in the copter above I-75, and as you can see in both directions, light.